The movie opens with our protagonist Goring slowly getting up from a seemingly deep slumber. He is shocked to find himself in a mysterious concrete block, and has no recollection of how he got there in the first place. Across the room sits a man named Trimagasi, fully dressed in uniform just like him. He watches in amusement as a confused Goring tries to get a hold of the strange situation. Finally, he breaks the silence and welcomes him to their vertical prison, popularly known as the Hole. In this prison, inmates are randomly placed on different floors every month. He gladly reveals that they are lucky to be on the 48th floor from the top, and points out to the number 48 etched on the wall. At first, Goring doesn't get it, till he sets eyes on a bizarre hole in the middle of the room. The hole is an opening on all floors, and he barely sees the bottom from his floor, indicating there are way more below them. Goring barely understands why Gassi says they are lucky when suddenly a strange platform pops onto their floor from above. The platform is filled with all manner of foods and drinks, but messed up as people above lack etiquette. Gassi immediately jumps in and devours the food hastily, as the platform only stops for 2 minutes on each floor. On the other hand, a naive Goring can't afford to eat the filthy leftovers, and only picks up an apple for later. He feels irritated as people here don't look out for each other and wonders how much food gets to the lower levels. As the platform moves down to the next floor, Gassi spits on the food and breaks his wine bottle on it as he cares less about them. With 1,000 questions flocking on his mind, Goring turns to Gassi for answers, as he seems to have been here for a while. However, he barely starts when their room temperature starts shooting to alarming levels. Gassi asks him to get rid of the apple or they will be cooked to death, as people aren't allowed to keep food from the platform. True to his words, the temperatures drop when he gets rid of it. As they head for their first night, Goring reveals he voluntarily came in exchange for a diploma. Gassi is surprised as he was brought in for murder after accidentally killing a man. He was sentenced to a year and is currently in his 10th month. Gassi has experienced the extremes as he lived on levels 8 and 132. However, level 132 was bad, as he was forced to be a cannibal and devour human flesh. Goring is terrified as this leads him to believe he killed his roommate to stay alive. True to his thoughts, Gassi fetches out a sharp knife that he holds so dearly to. It's revealed that one is allowed to carry an item of interest into the prison. Goring, who didn't anticipate such a cruel place, carried his book. He wanted to quit smoking and read the book, but knew nothing about the place. Later into the night, their light turns red and Goring goes for a look, only for the platform to fly up at a supersonic speed. Goring, who slowly grows hungry, can't hold much longer, and obliges. Over the following course of days, the two grow fond of each other as they play around to pass time. Then, one day, something strange happens when the platform comes down with a lady named Miharu on it. Gassi seems unbothered by her presence and goes on eating as usual, while Goring tries to help. Gassi reveals that Miharu makes that trip once a month in search of her son, who purportedly went missing. Goring is perplexed as he knows for sure kids aren't allowed into the facility, but still feels concerned. However, Gassi asks him to ignore the dangerous lady as she kills her roommates before going down. Goring doesn't eat as he figures out how to help her, but the platform goes down shortly after. Goring watches Gassi's story come true when Miharu attacks the men on the subsequent floor after attempting to take advantage of her. As she goes down, Gassi appeals to Goring to pray hard as today is their last on level 48. He asks him to pray for a good level as hell exists down there. At night, they smell a weird gas meant to sedate them before being moved. In the next cut, Goring gets up slowly, but can't move an inch before Gassi pulls up. He is tied up on his bed and immediately throws his eye to the wall, only to be shocked. They are on level 171 and are damned to starve as no food gets to that level. However, an experienced Gassi has a plan to keep them alive as they hope for a better level next month. The plan is painful as they will eat Goring's flesh in small chunks after 8 days when hunger kicks in. Gassi promises to keep them alive, saying he has grown fond of him. However, he can't let him lose, as their friendship will slowly dwindle as reality checks in, and one might kill the other for food. True to Gassi's words, no food gets to them for several days, and Gassi prepares to put his plan into action. However, he starts by clearing off Goring's speculations about killing his roommate for food. A body fell from above one day as someone eliminated themselves, and that's why they survived on. His roommate finished their stay and left the place, and Gassi is determined to follow that. He swiftly drives his knife into Gassi, who screams in pain when suddenly the platform comes down. Miharu is on board this time and comes to his rescue. She easily incapacitates Gassi before freeing Goring, who earlier on seemed concerned about her. She then offers him the knife, and he brutally finishes Gassi off. He passes out and wakes up later to find Miharu devouring Gassi's flesh. She barely talks to him, but feeds him for a while till he regains his strength before resuming her journey down. For the remaining weeks, Goring feeds on Gassi's decomposing body to stay alive. These disturbing conditions have a depressing effect on him, as he constantly hallucinates with Gassi. This changes when he finally gets up on level 33 and lets out a sigh of relief. His new mate Imoguri, who has a dog, immediately notices him as she interviewed him into the facility. She has decided to come in after fighting cancer for long, but is almost losing the battle. Goring is finally relieved to have an insider who can share in-depth details of the facility. However, Imo, who claims to have worked there for the last 25 years, barely knows anything about it. She estimates the number of floors to be 200 and reveals that the food provided, if rationed well, can reach those levels. However, her attempts to persuade the guys below them to cultivate that culture lands on deaf ears, and they continue munching the food ruthlessly. This changes when Goring threatens to defecate on the food, which keeps them in check. Several days later, the platform comes down as usual with Miharu, only this time she is severely injured. Goring takes her in and nurses her, but things go bad as she kills Imo's dog before leaving. Goring calms Imo down, saying she is stressed by her missing child, but Imo refutes the claim. She says that the administration is very keen on that, and no kids below 16 are allowed into the facility. Her dog's thoughts keep her sad, and she refuses to eat even on their last day in the level. Unbeknownst to her, this is her last chance to eat decent food as they go to sleep. Goring again gets up sluggishly, only to find Imo has eliminated herself within the first minutes in their new level. He turns around to discover they are on level 202, and almost gives up, but his hope is rekindled with Imo's body lying around. Even from that level, he barely sees the bottom, asserting Imo's speculations to be untrue. Later on, he starts tearing off the body in bits, and his mental health once more heads to the drains. Gassi alongside Imo appear to scold him and give him sleepless nights. Goring endures with 2 months left to freedom, and finally makes it through. He gets up, only this time to find himself on his best level yet, level 6, with an energetic roommate, Baharat. He is determined to reach level 0 with his rope and attempts to befriend a couple on top. The couple offers to help and hold his rope, only to let him go when he gets close. He almost falls to his death, but Goring shows up in time to hold him. For the first few days, the two live the lavish life offered by the level till Goring hatches a plan to bring about a revolution. He proposes to Baharat to go down on the platform while rationing the food. This will definitely break the chain and send a message to the admin. If they fail, they will remain on the platform and ascend to level 0 as Baharat dreamt. With nothing to lose, the duo breaks their bed for weaponry and starts the descent on the platform. Baharat is surprised when Goring decides to deny the first 50 floors of food, arguing that they ate the previous day. Those who try to forcefully devour the food are met by ruthless beating from the duo. As they progressively go down, they come about a wise man and Baharat's mentor who share some wisdom with them. He asks them to preserve the most precious delicacy and send it back on the platform. The chefs on level 0 would definitely report this to the administration and ensure the mission's success. With this, the duo goes down and starts rationing the food as planned while preserving a precious dessert. As they get to the lower levels, they are met by the ugly scenes of people devouring their roommates. At level 150, there are barely any survivors, and the platform keeps moving and doesn't stop on empty floors. On one level, they encounter Miharu under siege as she struggles to fight a man. However, they barely make it on time and she is brutally eliminated before Goring saves her. A fight ensues and Baharat fights a swordsman who slices him and almost overpowers him. However, he finishes him off and saves a beaten Goring before jumping to the moving platform. The two pass the 200 mark and continue downward to level 250, where one survivor has managed to stay alive. They continue their descent and the platform finally stops at level 333, with no food on board except for the dessert. Goring gets off the platform thinking Miharu's kid might be on this level, which turns out to be true. In a surprising turn of events, it's speculated that Miharu made the descent to bring the kid food on the lowest level to keep her alive. They offer the kid the dessert after contemplating the idea for a moment, but something bizarre happens. The room doesn't get hot after keeping the dessert, but before long they all pass out. Goring gets up later on to find Baharat succumb to his injuries. Believing the mysterious kid is the key to change, he loads her onto the platform which descends into the vast nothingness. Goring gets off it as Gassi convinces him that the message doesn't necessarily need a messenger. He lets off the kid to go up the platform while he remains stuck in the dark void with his impending fate lingering. The movie ends as Miharu's kid flies past the floors at a supersonic speed with the platform headed for level 0. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy the content, and share in the comments any movies you'd like us to recap.